From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
The Kansas City Chiefs are the next dynasty in the making, and we're going to watch it happen. Welcome back. This is the 1000th episode of the Locked On Chiefs show. I am your host, Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and your host over at RGR Football on YouTube. Welcome back, folks. We made it. Thanks to all of you, every sub that we've ever had, everyone who's ever tuned in to an episode, we want to say thank you. It's been a long time coming, and this, our 1000th episode, finds us in a situation where we could be staring down the barrel of a dynasty in Kansas City. I'm pretty excited about it. I know you guys are too. It has been a long time coming, and it is finally here. It has been quite a long road, to tell you the truth. I started covering the draft in terms of putting anything into the public back in 2013, back in the days that were a bit dark at the time, to tell you the truth. I had been following the draft, following a lot of statistics and things, early versions of analytics, back on my own time when I was working in another industry and wasn't covering this team. And then I started a podcast and I started writing for some people, and it's really been interesting to watch the evolution of this team as my progress through the media ranks has happened. It definitely starts from writing and moves on to what we do now in terms of the audio visual all the time. And when Chris came on board, it made a big difference. And the two of us built Locked On Chiefs from scratch. And it's been all because of you, our listeners, our fans, and we really, truly appreciate it. I think not only is it a payoff for us, but for you, that the Chiefs have done something really similar in that since Andy Reid took over this team, it's been a steady progression, culminating in a championship, but that's not it. That's not where it's going to end. I am one of those people that does feel that this is something the Chiefs can repeat. This is something they can sustain. Yes, there are hurdles. The Patrick Mahomes contract will definitely be one. In order to make that work out, to be able to field a team of talented individuals in other aspects of the game, it's always a balancing act. But I do have faith in Andy Reid. I have faith in Brett Veach. And after watching these years go by from Pioli, Haley, through this whole evolution, and the guys that you're going to hear from today, and Matt Derrick and Seth Keysor, we've watched that go together. It's been really interesting how many times those two guys have been on this show over the course of its life, as well as what we've seen the course of the Chiefs take on. And the culture has changed. Clearly, the talent has changed. What was pretty much a desert here when Andy Reid came to town has really turned around. It's difficult now for draft picks to make the roster. That's going to be something we're going to see this particular season as they go into 2020 trying to repeat. I have to think that they actually have one of the better chances to do so. That's why people are talking about them in pleasant terms compared to the 2004 Patriots team, in what is such a rare ability to repeat a back-to-back championship. They're definitely in the hunt. Now, nothing's an easy road. Let's not go there. But they're definitely in a position where we can see that happening. And beyond that, you could see more championships in the future, particularly now because of the one thing that's been lacking in Kansas City since forever, in a true franchise quarterback. That's the crazy part. Getting that one linchpin is what's made the biggest difference in Kansas City, and the biggest difference for Andy Reid and Clark Hunt, who deserves a lot of credit. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. But at the end of the day, it's been a great run of years. 4 seasons now that we've been doing Locked On Chiefs up to this 1000th episode. There are a lot of great things still to come. We will keep it in high gear as we move forward for the next 1000 episodes. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart to all of you that are listening or have listened in the past, thank you very much. And when we get back, we're going to bring in our special guests and talk about the biggest stories that have contributed to what could be a Chiefs dynasty. Welcome back, folks. And this is a special one because Seth Keysor from The Athletic is rejoining us. How are you, pal?
Man, I am good. It is so good to hear your voice, man. So good to chat with you again.
It's been a while. And this is the reason. I know our schedules are kind of off, but I couldn't do the 1000th episode of Locked On Chiefs without you. So I'm glad that you're here. And this is where we're at today. 1,000 episodes, and you've been on more than anybody else. And
I'm honored.
I know, it's crazy, right? Like, I can't believe how far this has gone, how long we've been doing this.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of memories in here, and I wanted to touch on some of them. I think I have what my favorite moment is, but if you take a second and just kind of think back of all the shows that we did, of all the things that we've seen happen since we started covering this team, you a year or two before me, I started in 2014, but that's how long it's been.
Man, that is so crazy that it's been that long. Because you and I knew each other a little bit well before this. Like, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff, Pro Football Spot, and like there's all sorts of ways that we knew one another. Obviously, back on SB Nation, and I just think we appeared together so many times on this show before both of our schedules blew up and made it so hard to get together. Which we got to do this more often. We really do.
I know.
There's so many favorite moments. Some of them, they just all blend together in terms of us. Like, I remember us sitting there, you, me, and Chris, I think, as we were talking about Mahomes after his first start. And we're just like, I think he's going to be it. Like, I don't remember. I remember thinking to myself, like, man, I really think like you could make an argument for starting him during these playoffs. Like, and they didn't. And, I mean, it ended the way it did, but who cares? Because the Chiefs are Super Bowl champs now. But I remember that. I remember us reacting when they drafted Mahomes. Was just, it was a party. I mean, we were all just like fired up because he was one of the guys. He was like one of the guys we were all like, yes, this is that dude. But I think my very, very favorite moment was when we were in the middle of recording and we found out that Alex Smith had been traded.
Yep.
And that was like, we were all just like, wait, what? Wait, what? And to your credit, I'll never forget this. I, at the time, did not know anything about Kendall Fuller, who was just coming off one of the best slot corner seasons anyone had ever played. And he didn't quite have that level of success in Kansas City, but he played a really important role in the Super Bowl win.
Yep.
And that playoff run. Yeah. Transitioning to safety. He played a great Super Bowl. Huge deal. He was very important. You had heard of him, and he was one of the guys you were like, oh, maybe, hopefully for Kendall Fuller. And I'm like, who? So kudos on you.
Well, thanks. Yeah, it's funny that you picked that one because that's what I picked too. Like, just the excitement that we all had when it happened. We happened to be recording at the time, folks. I might even go grab a clip for you guys that are hearing the show that may have joined us since then. We were literally in the middle of a recording show. We finished that. We dead stopped and started another one just to get instant reaction. And that was the night the franchise changed, right?
Oh, absolutely. Well, because that's when you knew, like, it's happening. This is going to be Patrick Mahomes' team. And I don't think it was too long after that who was it? Louis Riddick was basically tweeting out, like, Patrick Mahomes is going to take the league by storm. Like, and I think he was even saying it during the 2017 season. He's like, you guys don't even know. And by now, hopefully people realize Louis Riddick has known Andy Reid for a long time. And he would never say, oh, I heard from a source. But there are very few people that Andy Reid talks to. And Louis Riddick is one of them. If he says something, he called it on Juan Thornhill too. Because if Louis Riddick is saying something, it's because he's hearing it directly. And it's something Reid wants the world to know. I think Reid wanted the league to be put on notice, even though he knew they had no idea what was about to hit them.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And it's funny, especially pre-draft, when Louis says something about a particular draft prospect fitting in, I really pay attention to that. And he's somebody that if you're not following, folks, you got to go follow him. But Seth and I both do, specifically for that reason. And it's just been such an evolution, not just the Pat Mahomes thing. That was a fun night with Alex Smith. But back from before I started writing, I'm not sure if you were writing prior to Andy Reid, but that transition, you were. Okay, so you were a little bit ahead of me. But just watching, I started the next year when Andy started, basically. And to watch that evolution from what we had seen before that, even before this show started with Pioli, with Todd Haley, and getting to where we are now, could you have seen it from here? Because I'm not sure that I did.
I think when it all goes down in history, when they're talking about this era of the Chiefs 40 years from now, I hope they talk about Clark Hunt. I hope they talk about the fact that he really, because people weren't sure, is he really going to be as crazy about all this as Lamar Hunt? Is he really going to be able to, but I mean, he made the tough choices immediately. He came in, he saw what wasn't working, moved on to a new thing, saw that wasn't working, moved on to a new thing, made tough decisions, not like overnight. He gave Pioli a chance. Mm-hmm. He gave Todd Haley a chance. But he saw what wasn't working. And then in 2013, when Andy Reid was not a hot name necessarily, I mean, he was, but he also was more of a punchline because that last year in Philly, he had that reputation, very undeserved, in my opinion, that he can never win the big one, all this stuff. Clark Hunt had the foresight to not just say, hey, I'd really like to interview that guy, but to fly out to Philly and say, dude, I'm not taking no for an answer.
I completely agree with you. And I think Clark Hunt gets a lot of undervalued recognition. I think he deserves more as well because he brought Pioli in too. It didn't work out, but he went after it. He thought that he had something that could change the direction of the franchise. It didn't work out. Same thing with Reid. Free reign, like you said, for Veach to stomp the table to get Mahomes on board. And now here we are, poof, championship. So my question to you is, it's been a long road for all of us to get to this point, but where do you see them going from here? I feel like there's a dynasty in the making. Am I in left field?
I don't think you are. I think it's going to depend on a few things. Luck is always going to be part of it. How the various markets do. I think the Chris Jones situation, even though Spagnuolo's shown himself to be competent enough, I think the defense will be good, even if they can't keep Jones around long term. But a playmaker like Chris Jones, who some could argue is the second or third best pass rusher in the league, that changes the dynamic of the defense, especially with Frank Clark. And we saw that in the Super Bowl in that fourth quarter. Those guys wreaked havoc. They changed the game. That's part of it. But honestly, with Mahomes and Reid and the job that they're doing, getting a certain type of talent, I very easily see a dynasty being possible. Some of it's going to come down to luck, but here's the deal. They weren't, people can talk about how the season ended, they got the number 2 seed, the Ravens lost, but I think the Chiefs stomped the Ravens. Maybe not stomped, but I think they beat them. They beat them pretty easily earlier in the year. People can say that it didn't matter. I don't care. People can say all kinds of things. It just, the reality is once the Chiefs were healthy, they were too good. And they weren't that lucky in 2019. They lost Mahomes for multiple games. They lost Tyreek Hill multiple games, Fisher multiple games. Chris Jones got hurt. Frank Clark played hurt. They lost. We thought like Anthony Sherman might have to take snaps on the offensive line, which would have been awesome. Don't get me wrong.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, you would have been here for it. So, I mean, even in a year where they weren't that lucky, and they played a team tailor-made to beat them in the Super Bowl, incredibly well-coached offense, one of the better offenses in the league, great defense with a great pass rush, great coverage, and it didn't matter. I think they housed the Packers. Had it been the Packers that made it to the Super Bowl, I don't think it would have been particularly close unless Aaron Rodgers does some incredible stuff. That could have been fun to watch, on a side note. There's no team that I think would have beaten them. And so when I look at it in that light, that it was only, the first year with Spagnuolo, it's his defenses generally get a little bit better over the next few years. We've seen competent defensive coordinator play. It'll depend whether they can keep him, keep some of the coaching staff roughly together, but a repeat would not stun me one bit. And if you even get one repeat, that's a dynasty that gets mentioned in the history of the NFL because it's so rare.
Exactly. And so they changed the hiring, they changed the culture. Now this dynasty is on the way. I'm really excited about the future and the fact that I'm not that old so that I can watch this and cover this. This is one of those deals, man. How excited are you about being where you're at now, coming through the path that you've come through AP and everything else and to The Athletic and where you're at now? You might be hitting your stride just as the team is.
I hope so. It's been unbelievable. Nate Taylor and I talk about it all the time, how lucky we are that The Athletic came around right as the Mahomes era started. And we got a chance to cover this team during such an incredible time, both of us growing up fans. And then it's been just such a blessing. It's been incredible to watch, and it's been so much fun. And then as of late, with where I'm at now, I've even had an opportunity to start my own thing now with the Chief of the North newsletter. And it's just been this incredible opportunity I never thought I'd be able to just bring content straight to people and they'd want to read it and not have to worry about editors, not have to worry about SEO, and not have to worry about clickbait, and just say, hey, let's look at McCole Hardman's snaps together. Let's look at the leak concept together, which is what's coming up next. I'm just so excited for all of it. It just really, I used to close the whole Chief in the North podcast, always saying it's a good week to be a Chiefs fan. It is a great time to be a Chiefs fan. It's never been better. And I'm just so excited about the future, hopefully for what I'm able to provide to people individually in coverage, and then through The Athletic as well. But then also, going on with you guys, with everything we've gone through together, it's an exciting time, man.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you're right. For your tagline, it is a great time. It might be the best time. It goes all the way back to the beginning of the franchise to find a time when we're not talking about just back-to-backs, which, like you said, is so rare. This could go on for a while. Getting this contract done for Mahomes is really the key to the future, and it could rival the very beginning of this franchise, and we're going to be there to cover it. I'm excited about where you're going. I'm excited about where we're all going. And, man, I got to tell you, it's been great to have you on board for these first 1,000, and hopefully we keep it running for the next 1,000.
Absolutely. One of my goals is to make sure that I try to get it back closer to where it was when I used to appear with you guys weekly or more than weekly. I miss it. It's so much fun talking Chiefs, and sometimes it feels like we let things get in the way, life and scheduling and stuff. But it's been one of my favorite part of sports is the conversations and the friendships and the interactions, and getting to do that with you guys. That's something very, very special. And I just, 1,000 episodes, you guys, here, hang on, let me, to where people can hear, we're going to have a polite golf clap, because you guys deserve literally every good thing that happens. You guys have just crushed it, and you've been awesome to everyone while hustling. And that, listeners should know, that is less common than you think in the sports industry, sports coverage industry. It's a cutthroat business, and finding people who are genuinely decent people, it can be tough at times. And you guys just have been nothing but so fantastic. And I appreciate you very much. And if you were here, I'd give you a big kiss. It'd be great.
Well, thanks, man. Got me all teared up. But I want to say to you, it's been nice for people who we have not been in the same room very much in our lives, but I feel like we've made quite a friendship to go through this sport together, and I'm excited about it. So here's to the future, folks. Follow at The Athletic, follow at Real Minnesota Chiefs Fan on Twitter, and you can get all of everything, including the new newsletter. Man, thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. This has been awesome.
Folks, that is our 1,000th episode here on Locked On Chiefs. We appreciate you listening. Thank you for everything you've done for us. We will talk to you tomorrow. Ryan Tracy is the founder of Rogue Analytics and the host of RGR Football on YouTube. Follow him there. Chris Clark is a senior analyst at ChiefsDigest.com, where you can get his work. Rate and review at Apple Podcasts, and subscribe